Hello boys and girls, and welcome to solograph.info. This is going to be the first in a series of tutorials involving a program called Inkscape. Inkscape is very similar to Adobe Illustrator, but much cheaper, like roundabouts, free. Actually precisely free. But I encourage you, if you try the program and you like the program, to donate, so that way it can continue to be free and continue to progress and be better and better and better. If I didn't work as a freelancer and I was just doing it as a hobby, I would only use this program because it's pretty dang cool. Anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this, shall we? I'm assuming that you've taken the time to explore this program and see what stuff does on your own. So what I'm going to do is just call out hotkeys as I'm doing things, so that way you can learn them too, because hotkeys make you faster, like a cheetah. Anyway, or maybe a peregrine falcon. It's like the fastest animal in the world, isn't it? It goes like 100-something miles an hour when it dies. Anyways, a little fun fact that you probably might not care about. So what we're gonna make this button that I made here, and to start this button, we're gonna need to make an ellipse, which is this nice black that you see on the outside. So in order to do that, we need to push the E button, because the E button makes an ellipse, and then we're going to hold control, and control is going to constrain the proportions unless you go too far out of the way, then it stretches it, but that's another story. If you don't get crazy with it, it'll do what you want. So when you push the E button to select the selection tool, and you can grab things and move them where you need to. And I'm going to put that there because I want it there. And I'm going to get your color palette down here at the bottom, so I'm going to pick black because that's the color we need. Now that I have that nice and black, I'm going to hold Control and press D, which is going to make a duplicate. But you're like, but wait, I only see one. You're absolutely right, but there's really two, I promise. In order to do that, to demonstrate that fact, we're going to change the color of that ellipse to gray, so it's closer to this color that's up here. Now that we've done that, we're going to hold Control and Shift. This constrains proportions of things that you already made when you grab these handles that are laid out with the marquee selection. So you click on that, and we're just going to slide it in, and I'm fairly happy with that size. So now that we have this, in order to create this 3D effect, we're going to need to apply a gradient. And to apply that gradient, we're going to push the letter G, which initiates the gradient tool, which is right here. Now, once we've done that, we're going to start at the top. We're going to hold Control, and we're just going to click it, and we're going to slide it down. I guess maybe about like 3/4 of the way down. I feel good about that. You? Good. Alright. So now that we have that, we're going to want to soften that up. See how that just kind of fades in there, makes it have that 3D kind of effect? We want that. That's nice. People enjoy smooth things. So over here, you can push Control, Shift, and F, which you see is noted at the top here, or you can just click it right there. Me, I don't know. I know it, but I don't really think about it, so I don't care. But you might care. Like I said, speed, cheetah, peregrine falcon, do it. Alright, so over here, we're going to go where it says blur, and we're going to select that number value in there because it's much easier to denote values by typing it in than it is to slide the slider. I'm going to put input 2 because I like 2. 2 is a good number. It's nice and round, even though it's, not round. Actually, it is round. What am I talking about? Anyways, whoops. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to get my selection tool again. I'm just going to close that because I don't need it. I'm going to get my selection tool again. Nope, I lied. Yes, no, that's right. Selection tool. I'm going to select that ellipse that we've applied the gradient and the blur to. My blur went away. Let's try that again, shall we? 2, enter. Alright, now you go away. Alright, it's selected again. Now we're going to push Control D one more time. Now we have another copy of that very same thing. And once again, we're going to shrink it down. So to shrink it down, I'm just going to hold that Control Shift again and slide it in. This one's going to be smaller than that last one. And there we go. Now we have it. But you'd be like, oh, but it doesn't look anything like the one above. That's because we're going to do something interesting that a lot of people would not have thought about to do, and that is select that gradient tool again, and then we're going to click this bottom node. And this bottom node, the color is black, but we want that color to be gray. Like, oh, now it's all one color, right? But we're going to select the top node, that little square, and we're going to make that black. Oh, it's the inverse. Look, it's starting to take shape. Isn't that great? Of course it is. Okay, and then we're going to apply that same blur. Actually, it's still applied because it's applied from before, which is great. That's one of the great things about duplicating. It cuts down on work if you're doing repetitive tasks. Fantastic. Speed, speed, speed. Especially if you do this professionally, you're going to want speed. The faster you can work, the more jobs you can get done, the more you're going to get paid. Bam. Everybody likes fast. Everybody likes money. Let's do it. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, that we've got that created, we're going to hit the selection tool once again, and we're going to make another ellipse by pushing Control D again. And yep, you guessed it, we're going to scale that down again with the selection tool by holding Control and Shift to constrain the proportion and scale it down again. Look at that. That is awesome, I think. And now this one, we're going to make this one just black all the way. Boom, just black. Isn't that great? I think it's great. I mean, it doesn't really look like anything, but who cares? It's a process, Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, I could use the gradient tool again, but this is actually much faster for what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is, on the fill and stroke palette, Shift Control F, there are several tools. There's a flat color, there's a linear gradient, radial gradient, pattern, and swatch. And there's a couple other tools over here that are, they're important depending on what you're doing, but at this stage of the game, if you're just learning this, you're probably not going to need to know those, so we're not going to cover that right now. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select radial gradient, and bam, look at that. It makes like this little 3D concave area, but that's not really what we want, but it's cool looking anyways. So then we're going to close this now, and now that we have our gradient, we're going to select it, and then we're going to push G. Now what G does, once again, is initiates our gradient tool, and we want to select the node in the middle. I'll be creative and make this a different color than what I've already made. Why not, right? We're going to make that red. I don't like that red. Make it a darker red, like red. Yeah, that color red. Now that I have that, then I'm going to select this top one, and I'm going to change that to black. See how it's starting to take shape, being similar to that one up there? Now what we're going to do, you can slide this in and out, in and out. And if you do it like this, it gets all weird and crazy, which you don't want, right? So Control Z to back up. Also Control Shift Z if you back up, but you decide you liked it anyways, and it brings it back to the current state, which is awesome because it's very similar to Adobe, which does function the same way. Now, if I'm correct in my memory, if you hold Control and Shift and grab that little node, it's gonna, yeah, look at that, same thing as the other one. So we're gonna change the proportions of that gradient, and it doesn't even matter, like it just moves the whole thing, it doesn't care. It's like, cool, I know what you're trying to do. Alright, so, and I think I like my evil eye about there. And there we are, we have that nice little gradient there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, it's a little more trickier. It takes some manipulation. It's not so precise. You have to play with it to get it how you want it. So, don't be afraid to play. Matter of fact, when you do these things, as a friend of mine once told another friend of mine, which I hope told another friend and kept the message going, play hard. Because the harder you play, the better the reward at the end of the day. So I'm just going to push plus to zoom in. I did it about 4 times, and it zoomed all in here, and then I'm going to click the mouse wheel so I can grab this whole thing and bring it where I want. And I'm actually, yeah, I'm probably right where I want to be as far as like zooming. Yeah, it looks kind of menacing actually. I like it. Alright, so we're going to select, we're going to use the selection tool by pressing S. And then we're going to select the innermost thing that we have created, which is that red eye looking thing. And then we're gonna, yep, you guessed it, Control D to duplicate that again. Now this time, instead of shrinking it down or whatever, we're actually going to first off make it white. But wait, we're covering up the thing. We are, but we're going to fix that, don't worry. Because what we're going to do is we're going to Control Shift F, and we're going to get our fill palette again. And we're going to leave that blur at 2. I like that, it kind of works. Actually no, 1.5 earlier I found works best. So I'm going to change that to 1.5 just for the sake of continuity. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go up here, or actually no, we're going to stay down here, and what do I want to do? Alpha or opacity? We're going to go for opacity. So we're going to select the value in the opacity down there, and I personally like 30%. And I'm going to push enter. And see, that's going to change that fill. You see that? That's great. Now the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to apply right up here at the top. You have those values again for the fill. You got the flat, linear, radial, swatch, and all that. We're going to click the linear, and that's going to create a linear gradient. So now we can close that, and we're going to push G to get our gradient tool. Boom, there it is. And it's going horizontal. We don't want it to go horizontal, we want it to go vertical. So we're going to go to the top of that ellipse. We're going to hold Control, we're going to click, and we're going to slide down. There it is. And about, yeah, 3/4 is about right. I like that value. Well, actually, no, because we're going to change this, so we'll go down a little more, actually. We'll just go like a little, almost all the way. And now that we have this, we're going to select this bottom node, and we're going to make sure that that's the one that's white. And we're going to make the top, we're going to select the top one, and we're going to select this box all the way on the left bottom, which is no fill. And so that's going to get us, like, you know, back to the natural color of what's underneath it, which is great. Now that we have done that, we're going to click S again, and that's going to take us back to that tool. And we're going to just drag this up because we don't need all that. We're just doing some other stuff. Alright, so, and yeah, about halfway. That's pretty good. I like it. It works for all intents and purposes. Now here's where it gets tricky. I'm going to teach you a very useful tool, and it's a little, it's not advanced, you know, it's intermediate, but whatever. And that is this here. I'm going to select on path at the top of the screen, and then we're going to select the very first one. We're going to change the object into a path. Boom. And what that does, it allows us to utilize nodes, and nodes are very powerful in vector programs because it allows you to alter shapes without being able to, without necessarily having to draw or do anything like that. You can make a shape and manipulate it to your will. So in order to do that, what we need to do is push the N button. Now the N button activates the excuse me, edit path by nodes tool, which is right up here below the selection tool. Now that we have this, you can see the nodes have appeared. There's one here, there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one there. Now what we can do is, once we've done this, we can select one of these nodes. See, and these little Bezier handles is what they're called, pop out. So right here, you see this little circle, this little white circle that's on the screen. These are Bezier handles, and this will be the Bezier or the bezel. Now what we're going to do there, we're going to grab this top one here, and we're going to drag it down, because what we want to do, that's all crazy and wonky. Push Control D to go back. That went all rogue on me. Okay, so I'm going to hold Control. I'm going to slide down, and what the goal is to try to match up these the two shapes. And then now that I've got that kind of sort of where I want it, I'm going to select it. And then after I select it, I'm just going to use the regular arrow keys on the keyboard to just move that node in there. that bezel. And that's not too bad. And then I'm going to grab it again because it's actually off a little bit. And that is not perfect, but it is pretty darn close. And I'm going to select this other one over here. I'm going to do the same thing. Just bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Bring it down now. And then we're going to select the node again. We're going to slide it in with the arrow keys once more. And yeah, that's about where I want that. Let's see how this does if I bring that in. Yeah, that's about right. That's good. And so if we click on the white portion of the screen, you see how it's created that effect here, which I like. I like this effect. Now, what we want to do, we want to zoom back out. So to zoom back out quickly and effectively, we want to push the Z button. And then the Z button brings up the magnifying or the zoom tool functions. At the very top of the screen, you're going to see a number of things: plus, minus, 1-to-1 ratio, 1-to-2, and a 2-to-1 ratio, and then these other little buttons right over here. And this third one over, zoom to fit page window, is great because it brings you back to normal. And so now you're back in the mix, you're back in the flow, and it's a good feeling. Everybody likes being in the mix. So we're looking at this, and it's pretty close. It's not exact, you know, but it's getting there. I think I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Maybe too much, yeah. Let's see, you can slide this on. See, and it's great. The thing about art is like it never has to be perfect. It's all left up to interpretation. Of course, unless you're designing a building or something, then it's got to be perfect because you know you want that. I don't want to be in a building you design if it's going to fall apart. You know what I mean? So anyway, and I also think that I'm going to adjust that gradient a little bit as well. I think I like it like that. All right, great. So anyways, so we have that. Now we're just going to add a couple finishing touches to this to make it really pop, like it's got some depth to it. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to the S. We're going to select S, and then we're going to push the plus button, the plus equals button. We're going to zoom in on this like 2 times, maybe 3. And then we're going to select this outermost circle. Now, you know it's selected because it's the marquee. This dotted line here, the marquee is at the outermost edge of this, so that lets us know that we're probably on the outside. And then we're going to push Control D again to duplicate it. Oh no, it disappeared one more time, but who cares? Because we're doing something cool. Then now that we have that, we're going to push Control D again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change the color of this to, I don't know, green maybe. Sure, green's nice. It's actually pretty crazy looking right there. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use the arrow key to slide this down a little bit. See, and that creates that little crescent shape, right? And then with the selection tool, which I have it selected, I'm just going to click off. I'm going to push S A to remind you, and B just to make sure that that's the tool that I have. I'm going to click on the green and I'm going to click on the black ellipse. So they're both selected. You see there's double marquee there. And I'm going to go up to path. And on the path, we're going to slide down to where it says difference. I'm just going to click that. And now that has made a difference. Yeah, that was better. Anyways, so it seems like it disappeared, but actually the bottom shape was black, and so it just defaulted to that black. And all we have to do to get that to show up is click on a color besides black. I chose white. And now it looks like part of that disappeared, but actually what happened is it turned to white. I'm going to push the down arrow so you can see that change. Look at that. Isn't that great? That's awesome. I like it. Alright, so we're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. What we need to do now is create yet another gradient. And we're just going to start at the top of that, and we're going to push G to get the gradient. We're going to go at the top of that little crescent that we created, and we're going to hold control and we're going to drag it down. And see, depending on where you drag, how you drag, you know, you can get like different. So you can get this like this little angle here. You're gonna get this little angle over here. Actually, I'm gonna do about like a 30 or I don't know. Like, angles always elude me. I mean, to me, this is like a 45-degree angle or a 35-degree angle, which technically it is, but only if it was horizontal to the plane. So anyway, we're gonna slide this up here after nerding that out way too hard. And I like it about, I don't know, top side, other side. I like it. You know, this one's going to be different. It's going to have some character. So it's going to be over here. Alright? So that's there, like that. And I feel pretty good about that, I guess. I don't know. How you feel? Good, bad, indifferent? Yeah, that's good. That works. That's completely fine. Now, now what we're going to do this S tool, click over to the side here, and push Z, and we're going to click on that zoom to fit page button again at the top of the screen. Boom, there we go. So we got a nice little highlight. I actually like this highlight better than that highlight. I created this Bezier or this highlight with the Bezier tool actually, but then after when I was showing somebody else, I discovered that it's much more effective. Just chop up two ellipses. It's more uniform, contoured, and all that other goodness that's going on. So cool. Now, the only thing that's missing is a cool insignia in the middle. It doesn't even have to have it. It can just kind of stay how it is and it functions like it is. But I'm going to make one because I want to. This is my tutorial, so deal with it. So right here, I'm just going to click, boom. That did not do what I wanted to do, so let me try this again. Oh yeah, and also to get the text tool, you just push the letter T or select the letter A that's over here on the left. This is like 40. I don't really feel like 40 is going to be big enough for what I got going on. Depending on how big you made your little button, you're going to have to change the size of it. So anyways, I'm just going to push Shift and do you want to give me the letter C or what's going on here? It hates me. Do you see that? It hates me. Alright. Letter S. Click on it. Letter T. Click on the letter T. Push the letter Shift and C. There we go. Don't know why it didn't work the first time, but there it is, nonetheless. And that's not big enough for me. I like big things. I'm American. What can I say? I'm a jerk. There we go. Now we have that, I'm going to actually manually select the arrow, the selection tool, because I don't want to like click off the screen and do whatever. I just want to move it. There we go. Now, here's another cool thing. Actually, I'm just going to leave that over there to the side. Here's another cool thing that we're going to do. We are going to leave that selected, but then we're going to hold Shift, and we're going to select the... Actually, no, first before we do it, we're going to push page down. Maybe, yeah, too many times. So we're going to push Control down, I believe twice, according to what we've done. And that's going to put you below that little shimmer that's there. And then, after you've done that, hold Shift and select the red fade to black ellipse that's in there. And we're going to go up here to Path. Excuse me, we're going to go to Object. And down at the bottom, right before the last one, Control Shift A, as it says there, excuse me, is the Align and Distribute palette. And when that pops up, we're going to select the third one over from on the top here, and that's going to center it in the middle on the vertical axis. And then we're going to select the one right below it, which is going to be the center axis. And now our letter C is perfectly aligned in the center. Excuse me for the perp. I like it. We can deselect that. Over here, I've overlaid color over it, but it wasn't really necessary. I feel to blend this effectively, all we really need to do is get that fill and stroke palette again, and just bring that opacity down to like 75%. And then push Enter. Let's click off of that, and That's pretty good. I think I might even bring it down a little bit more. I think I might bring it down to like 50. Let's see what happens with that, shall we? Alright, we got some 50% going on. Click off of it, and it looks great. So, there you have it. You have a button with the letter C for cool. Cool button. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Stop by. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like if you want.